Welcome to the arena, fans. This is All Breaker Buzz, your ringside pass to everything WWE. Stay tuned, subscribe, and let's rumble. The wrestling world exploded the moment Chris Jericho walked onto Raw and delivered a cryptic promo implying he should be John Cena's final opponent at WrestleMania 2025. And the more I think about it, the more frustrated I get. WWE is dangerously close to turning one of the most important retirement matches in company history into a nostalgia attraction instead of a meaningful moment for the future. John Cena, the backbone of WWE for nearly 2 decades, is entering his last year. And the idea of that chapter ending against someone who doesn't even work for WWE full-time feels like WWE choosing temporary excitement over long-term storytelling. Jericho's appearance had the crowd roaring. Sure, but this situation is far more complicated and far more concerning than a fun pop on Monday night. How Jericho inserted himself into Cena's retirement spotlight. The biggest issue here is that this idea didn't originate with WWE's creative team. According to multiple people familiar with the situation, Chris Jericho has been pitching himself for this spot through quiet conversations, interviews, and personal relationships within WWE management. He knows exactly how big John Cena's final match will be and is leveraging his Hall of Fame legacy to position himself for the moment. That's not inherently wrong. Wrestlers advocate for themselves all the time. But doing it for the most important retirement match in modern WWE history feels like a move based on personal gain rather than what's best for the company or its future stars. And someone high up in WWE is listening, not because it's the best creative choice, but because it could generate mainstream attention simply due to AEW involvement. The Raw segment that sparked the debate. The actual Raw segment was classic Jericho, dramatic, confident, and delivered with veteran polish. He walked out to a massive reaction, stood center ring in a suit, and talked about legacies, final chapters, and the importance of a proper send-off. Then he dropped the line that set the internet on fire. John Cena is retiring, and Cena needs to ask himself who truly deserves to stand across the ring for his final match. He stared directly into the camera like he already knew the answer. Fans in the arena loved the moment, but to viewers thinking about WWE's future, the message was deeply concerning. A retirement this important should be about the next generation, not two legends revisiting a rivalry long since closed. Should Cena's final opponent be a legend or a future star? This is the core question. Does Cena's final match belong to someone from his era? Or does it belong to someone who represents the next decade of WWE? Wrestling history overwhelmingly supports the idea that retirement matches should elevate the future. When a legend retires by losing to another legend, it creates emotion but does nothing to strengthen the roster long-term. Giving Cena's final moment to Jericho, who isn't part of WWE's present or future, accomplishes nothing beyond a night of nostalgia. Meanwhile, wrestlers like Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, and younger names like Carmelo Hayes or Braun Breaker could gain a career-defining victory that shapes the company for years. The contract situation makes the optics even worse. Jericho does not work for WWE. He is contracted to AEW, which means his Raw appearance required special approval or a unique arrangement. No matter how cooperative AEW may be, having John Cena's last match against a performer from another company sends a terrible message to the locker room. It says that even the biggest moments are not reserved for those who dedicate themselves to WWE. Cena spent 20 years as the face of the company, never jumping ship, always loyal, always representing WWE proudly. Ending his legendary career with someone who currently wrestles elsewhere feels contradictory to everything Cena stood for and everything WWE claims to value. The creative problems with Cena versus Jericho. Jericho and Cena have wrestled multiple times, and while their matches were good, the feud has long since run its course. There's no unresolved rivalry, no emotional thread, no major unfinished business. The story becomes two legends wrestle once more, which might work for a special attraction event but falls flat as a retirement match. Compare that to Cena facing Cody Rhodes, where themes of legacy and leadership practically write themselves, or Cena facing Gunther, where the symbolism of one era giving way to the next is obvious and powerful, WWE has a chance to craft a true generational moment. But a nostalgia match risks making Cena's farewell feel safe instead of meaningful. Why Jericho doesn't need this moment. Jericho's legacy is already secure. He's done everything there is to do in professional wrestling and enjoys a respected late-career run in AEW. He doesn't need Cena's final match for validation or credibility. His push for the spot feels more like seeking one last huge WrestleMania moment. Rather than building WWE's future, Cena's retirement shouldn't be a stage for another veteran to add one more highlight to their personal reel. It should elevate someone who will help carry WWE beyond Cena's era, the better path for Cena's final year. The ideal approach is simple. Give Cena a farewell tour filled with nostalgia matches against legends like Randy Orton, AJ Styles, or Kevin Owens, opponents who shaped his career and can still perform at a high level. But the final match, the last chapter, must be reserved for a current star who will benefit enormously from the moment. Giving that spotlight to someone like Austin Theory, Gunther, or Carmelo Hayes could cement the next foundational piece of WWE's future. That is how Cena's retirement becomes a meaningful turning point, not just an emotional goodbye. WWE's short-term thinking could hurt the future. The fear is that WWE is prioritizing short-term buzz over long-term storytelling, as they've done before with certain special attraction matches. If they choose Jericho simply because it will generate headlines, they risk undermining the morale of their own locker room and sending a message that the biggest moments always go to returning legends rather than the talent working year-round to build the brand. WWE has made real progress in elevating new stars recently, and mishandling Cena's retirement would be a massive step backward. If Jericho gets the match, what does it say about WWE? If WWE chooses Jericho for Cena's final opponent, it tells the world that WWE still relies on nostalgia to carry its biggest moments. It tells younger wrestlers that their efforts can be overshadowed by someone who walks in for one night, takes the spotlight, and leaves. It tells fans that WWE believes legacy is more important than progress, and worst of all, it turns Cena's retirement into a temporary attraction rather than a moment that lays the foundation for the next major star. The bottom line. Chris Jericho returning to Raw and hinting at facing John Cena at WrestleMania 2025 creates buzz, but it also highlights a dangerous pattern. WWE choosing familiarity over growth. Cena's retirement is too important to waste on nostalgia. Jericho is a legend, but this moment is not his. Cena deserves an ending that honors everything he gave the company, and WWE's future deserves a moment that elevates the next generation. If WWE makes the mistake of giving Jericho this match, they'll gain short-term attention but lose long-term momentum. Cena deserves better. The roster deserves better. And the future of WWE deserves a moment that builds, not repeats.